I'm looking for Ezra. Ezra, somewhere? Is it? You're Ezra? Come here, come here. Come and stand next to me. What is your family name, Ezra?
Hayek.
Yes, yes, correct, correct. Your auntie, Hina sent me.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. What are you doing here, Ezra?
I work in advertising.
Oh,
Yeah, I work in advertising.
this is an advertising event. Very nice, very nice. You went to school for advertising?
No, I studied psychology, but I think it's a good starting point for what I want to do.
Oh, so you're an ambitious girl. Very nice, very nice. I know just the perfect boy for you, Ezra.
Really?
Yes, yes, nice boy. Wait, wait, I'll call him. Ali, Ali Amarsy, where are you? Nice.
Hi.
Ali, I have this very nice girl I want you to meet. Huh?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, how
Nice
are
to
you?
meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I have a bit of a thing right now. Maybe later, Auntie.
Yes, yes,
but
of course, of
definitely, we'll talk. Hi, guys. Hi, Dubai Links. Welcome to Dubai. How you guys doing? That's better. A little boost from the front. All right. Well, I see that you've met my auntie. And she was out here busy doing what she does best. This is what Arab aunties do, African aunties, Asian aunties. She was out here matchmaking me. And it's a good thing that she's got things under control. Because a little bit something about me. For the last 9 years, day and night, weekends, weeknights, I hope my boss hears me when I say that, weekends and weeknights, I've been working tirelessly on decks because I'm a planner. But today that's left me 31 years old and unmarried. I think I heard a boo. That's my mom in the crowd. She's not too happy about that fact. But back to my auntie. Now, what makes my auntie such a great auntie and such a great matchmaker is 3 things. The first one is her expertise. Because you see, my auntie has been matchmaking for a really long time. She's been through trial and error. She's been doing it for so long that today she's got a network of other aunties just like her, looking to matchmake people. The second thing that makes my auntie so good at what she does is in fact her deep understanding. She really gets me. She's known me my entire life. She's seen me grow up. But she also knows my family quite well, and she knows what makes us tick. She also gets our culture really, really well. So that's what makes her such a great auntie. That's point 2. But the third and probably the most important thing about what makes my auntie such a great auntie and such a great matchmaker is because she's got a great eye for what a 31-year-old in my situation needs in a partner. Because if you left it up to me to find a partner, I'd probably seek out someone who likes the UFC, KFC, buying Air Jordans, and the NFL. Not really marriage material in a woman. So my auntie has the intuition to know that when I'm looking for a partner, I don't need a mirror image. What I in fact need is a compliment. That's why aunties regularly beat out the results of matrimonial ads and ASL. Do you guys remember ASL? Yeah, I see this guy in the front nodding. You remember that ICQ grind, right? The struggle was real back then. These kids don't get it. In fact, if you don't know what ASL is, it's probably because you're from the academy or from the Young Links, and you have ASL to thank for your attendance here today. Ask your parents about it when you get them a couple of drinks. But aunties regularly beat out matrimonials and ASL because they have the perfect balance between deep understanding and knowledge and their intuition. So the matching of these two is what makes them so good. But let's take a bit of a pause. I think I've been up here about 2 minutes, and I bet none of you today expected to hear about arranged marriage. Am I right? Just a show of hands. Who here has been in arranged marriage? Power. Who here thinks that it's a great idea? My auntie does. You guys do. It's not that bad an idea, right? I've Googled it so much that I'm kind of open to it. So who here, in fact, is open to arranged marriage? This guy in the front, Mr. ICQ. I see ASL didn't work out for you. Well, my auntie is, will be walking around links for the rest of the day. She's available on Snapchat, and she will hook you up. But to the rest of you who might not be so open to arranged marriage, I'll have you know that, in fact, in the US, they did a piece of research where they compared couples in love marriages on one side and couples in arranged marriages on the other side. And they tracked them over the course of 10 years. Now, at the end of these 10 years, they tracked them for typical emotional passion points. So, you know, how deep is your love, your friendship, passion, so on and so forth, just tracking love. And believe it or not, between both groups, the scores on each were identical. So that's why today, well, that shows kind of the success of arranged marriage. Today, 89% of marriages in India are arranged, like you. So I see you in your mind, you're trying to compute 89% of the population of India. I've done the math. It's a big number. Don't ask me what it is. But 89% of marriages are arranged, and this is a country with 1.2% divorce rate. Put into our terms, in terms of engagement or advertising, if I could show these facts to any one of my clients, I would be extremely rich. I would not be here. I'd probably be on a yacht. So when you think about the completion rate of this, in fact, starts to make quite a bit of sense. And again, this is about the balance that an auntie brings to the table when it comes to deep knowledge and intuition. So when it comes to what you guys are probably feeling over here, you're probably feeling really uncomfortable, right? So there's a guy on stage in front of you who's 31 and who's willing to put his entire romantic destiny, the rest of his forever, in the hands of someone and what is seemingly her hunch, right? And I get that that makes you feel uncomfortable. And more so because today we live in a knowledge economy. Today we live in a world where, you know, there's data everywhere. So why would we make such a seemingly uninformed decision? And I know that there's a stage right outside in the golf ball that speaks to the magic that can be made with data and the amazing things that can be done there. I saw a few talks myself. They're awesome. But I think there's a reason why I'm here on the inspiration stage, because I'm here today to speak to every planner, client servicing, creative, brand person, client, whoever you are. And I'd like to ask you to first reconsider your relationship with data, but also look at your reliance on data just a little bit differently. And my invitation to you today is, in fact, to start thinking like an Indian auntie. And I know it seems a bit counterintuitive because we live in a world today that's obsessed with data. A lot of the key thinkers today talk about data as the greatest resource of our generation. It's meant to be the oil of our era. You talk about companies like Google. I know there was a speaker right here before me. This is a company that gives you the world's best mapping services, some of the stuff that you'd think only NASA would have, all in exchange for your data. The gentleman before showed us that we can take part in climbing the Mont Blanc, so something that's beyond our physical and financial means. All of that simply in exchange for your data. If you look at the headlines today, Apple and the FBI are just duking it out for access to your data. Did you guys see the Avengers? Who here saw the Avengers? Yeah, everyone, right? So this is a group of 5 superheroes that came and saved the world. I think they've done it 4 times. They're going to do it another time next summer. You kind of get it, but these are superheroes, right? And one of them is Thor. Now, Thor is the best embodiment of brute force. Biceps, hammer, punching through things, bringing justice, right? Well, that same actor who played Thor, biceps and all, played another type of superhero. In Black Hat, he played a hacker. Today we live in a world where Assange, Snowden, and Anonymous come to our rescue. We live in a world today where Harvard Business Review announced that data scientist would be the sexiest job of all in the 21st century. If you watch the last 5 James Bond movies, you might think they're about cars, women, and guns. But the turning point, the prize of it all, the most coveted of all prizes, is in fact data. So, a question. Who here is a creative? Who here is a planner? You can be creatives too. Call yourselves creatives. All right. So, to all you creatives and planners, how many of you love TGI? Yeah, you have to say yes. Okay, how many of you look forward to brand trackers? Okay, let it be known for everyone watching online, the score was 0. No one here looks forward to data. Well, I'm here today to tell you that you better get used to it because data is coming to an agency near you. Because I believe this stat has already been shared with you. By 2017, CMOs will be outspending CIOs on IT. That means that the marketing guy is going to be spending more on information than the information guy. That's a bit troubling. That means that you're going to have to get used to words like programmatic, big data, predictive analysis, automation. All that geek talk is going to be in your hallways if it isn't already. What we did here is we put together a word cloud for the Campaign Middle East 2016 essays. And you'll see that this is a collection, so it was a collection of all the predictions from industry leads on what they see is going to happen in 2016. So you see a lot of the typical words that you'd always see. So you see technology, content, traditional, world, brand, creative, brands, economy, innovation, social. I'm sure social's in there. This is your typical collection of words, right? But if you take that data just a step further and you put that in context, you look at our challenging situation today as an industry, but also the changes coming ahead of us, you see that a theme builds throughout. You see that we're all trying to get our clients something more factual, something that they can depend on, and it seems that data and digital is the key to that. But my issue today is that in this backdrop, in a world where data has become so sexy, we risk becoming over-reliant on data. In fact, today we've become data first, human second, if that. Today, data has become the question, the answer, and the star of the show, and we've stripped away the entire human element from what we do. Now, I've been instructed by my boss and everyone to make it clear at this point that I am not dissing data. I wish I had put that on a slide. But believe me, I am not here to say no to data. I sit at the edge of my seat waiting for brand trackers. I look forward to TGI. Sometimes I take the Excel sheets home and we spend quality time together. But my issue today is that when you look at our approach to decision making and solutions, it's become quite linear. It's looking a lot like you get the challenge, you go to the data, and you reach your decision. And I've fallen into this trap many times myself. But the reason why is because there's a perceived certainty in number-backed statements. We're dealing with clients more and more who are living quarter to quarter, who are checking their KPIs. Some companies are checking their KPIs on a weekly basis. So these now companies risk only looking for the short term and aren't making decisions for the longer term, for the bigger picture. So I'm here today to argue not for the end of data, I repeat, but in fact for a balance between data and human intuition. Because in this model, the challenge data decision model, we're missing out on a huge opportunity to truly impact human behavior. Because yes, data has made our business part science. I buy that. But the magic and what we're celebrating here today at Lynx is that our business is also part art. So I want to invite the industry today to trust itself again and bring back respect for intuition. Because otherwise, we stay stuck at an imbalance where we get the what that data serves really well, but we're discounting the why that human intuition brings to the table. And human intuition and that why is what my auntie fishes out from innocent girls that she finds on stage. What she did is she fished out socioeconomic data from her. So she asked her age, her family, her origin, her ambition in life. She's bringing in a lot of factors, and what she's doing with that is that she's sifting it through it, she's parsing it, she's mapping, and she's responding. She takes all of that information and then can take a step back. And once she's done that, she can digest it, and then she can make a decision from her gut. In fact, when she was speaking, her aha moment was quite clear. It went from questions to like, wait, there's a guy you have to meet. And only once that aha moment did come, did she point her out to the right bachelor. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you 3 examples that bring this to life. 3 examples where the data take us in a really good starting point, take us down a really good place, but you need that human intuition and instinct to turn into something truly valuable. All right? Okay. So the first example, let's talk about bullying. Now, bullying is something that's not new, but I'd say that it is hot. Because bullying has been around since the beginning of time. Everyone's kind of picked on everyone, but it's become extremely violent today. If you look at digital tools, if you look at the anonymity of the internet, if you look at the speed at which things are done in private, away from parents and the protection that they provide, it's really tough out there to be a kid. It's really tough out there to be a Bieber fan. I can tell you, because I'm a recent convert. So if you were to actually look up search trends on Google Trends for the term bullying, believe it or not, every year, without fail, the searches kind of hum along, and then in October and November, they shoot up. And then they continue going down throughout the year, and then in October and November, they shoot up again. It's like clockwork. Every single year that Google Trends has been tracking the term bullying, it has shot up in October and November. So if you go to the model which I explained before, when faced with a challenge, go to the data, lead to a decision, then if you want to talk about bullying for or against as a brand or as a person, then that's probably the best time to raise your voice, right? While the iron is hot in November. But as I mentioned before, what we want to do today is in fact invite you to ask yourself, what would an Indian auntie do? So when you have that data and you take a step back, you go to your instinct and your intuition and you ask yourself, what more is it to this data? Well, we think about bullying. Think about bullying in the fact that by nature, its symptoms are repressed. Bullying is a secret until it's too late. Bullying is the result, and the search of bullying is a result of months and months of unmet needs when it comes to support and counseling. That's something a person gets, not something an Excel sheet tells you. A second thing is, when you think about October and November and when this spikes up, only a human being can take a step back and realize that, oh my God, that's really close to back to school. And that's when kids get back together, and probably when they're mean to one another. So if you're going to be in the business of speaking up about bullying, either as a brand or as a person, your human intuition, and your new adopted thinking of thinking like an auntie would tell you that if you're going to speak up, you should speak up in September at your strongest, while the bullying is happening, before it's too late, before the search comes through. Because it's one thing to reach someone, and it's another thing to connect with them. Now to the second example. The second example is about Saudi Arabia and its very peculiar Facebook population. Now, I don't know if anyone here has looked at the Facebook population of Saudi, but it's got a bit of a weird gender split. You'd kind of expect it to be 50-50, right? Well, if you look at the people in Saudi Arabia who are on Facebook, the gender split is something like 77-23. So in planner talk, that's every time there are 4 people, there are 3 guys, 1 girl. We like things a bit simple, but jokes aside, these numbers are staggering. In fact, if I looked at this as a universe, this sounds like the perfect place to run this ad. LeBron James driving at the basket aggressively, pushing masculine values, masculine design, masculine product, masculine endorser, masculine everything. This is testosterone on a layout, right? Seems like the best place to have it, right? But the thing is, if you compare this data, so the data in front of you, 77-23 gender split on Facebook in Saudi, and you compare that to the in real life, which my friends here live on every day, on the ground, the Saudi gender split is actually 55-45. So when you take both of these pieces of data in front of you and compare them, suddenly something's not going right. You got to ask yourself a couple questions. So what's the question you ask yourself? What would an Indian auntie do? So this is where you take a step back and look to your gut, look to your intuition, look to your instinct. And what you realize and you tell yourself is that it's true, Saudi is a very conservative culture. And there is a gender split that is very physical, where males can't interact with females, but that comes in direct opposition with a natural curiosity that one has of the other, and another curiosity of what the world is like outside. So that leads you to deeper digging of these Facebook accounts. And what you realize is that there's a lot of girls called Muhammad. There's in fact a lot of guys, well, people reporting as male, who are really into MAC cosmetics. Now I get that might be a bit of a niche, but not to the extent that we've seen. And you see a lot of people living by aliases, so what you realize is that in fact these men are probably women. They're living undercover, under these aliases, just to get a little bit of anonymity and a little bit of space. so that they can, yes, engage freely with the things that they care about, but without having things like their reputation at risk. So here's a case that we put together that leveraged on this knowledge, that use the energy of women without having them to give up that anonymity that they need when they're online.
All around the world, women are revealing their lives online, but not in Saudi Arabia, where a woman showing her face on the internet is considered taboo. Always wanted to empower Saudi women by giving them a voice. So, on April 15, we launched the first ever online march. Instead of filming their face, we invited the Saudi women to join the march by sharing footage of their steps, moving for a better tomorrow. Thanks to this simple visual mechanism, the women no longer felt confined and were able to express themselves freely. To reward the movement, always provided financial support to 3 inspirational participants, moving them one step closer to achieving their aspirations. In a country where public demonstrations are banned, more than 5,000 Saudi women marched hundreds of miles online, raising their voice for a better tomorrow. This online march crossed borders, with women from all over the world adding their steps to the movement and shining a light on Saudi women's lives. After all, we trust that women are what makes the world go round.
So as you can see, this managed that balance between engagement and anonymity. So my advice is, if you're looking to engage with women in Saudi, if you're a brand, not some creep on the streets, then give them ways to experience while keeping that freedom, while keeping that space, without risking their reputation. You want to give them opportunities to engage. The third and last example is for Ramadan. Now, I know Ramadan is a big deal to us over here, especially those of us in the room. And I was trying to explain this to one of my buddies in the United States, and I explained to him that Ramadan is the Super Bowl, 30 times in a row. And that strain on mom is something that we've examined, but that strain is also throughout our industry. So every brand, whether involved or not, needs to speak up. Every brand needs to do something. Otherwise, it wasn't there all year. So when every brand is speaking, you can imagine that every tracker is in overdrive. And that's a great opportunity for us to get great starting points from data. So what we did at the Leo Burnett Planning Department is that we tracked meals, typically iftar meals. And the first 4 meals that we tracked, bear with me, were ma'luba, malfoof, kubba, and war anab. Thank you. Thank you. They all know that I can't speak Arabic and that all my rehearsal time has gone to pronouncing those words. But each of those meals is very complex, very delicious. I've had to try them all, but they're very delicious and there are a lot of strain on mom. And what we did is we tracked search trends for each of these terms. So if this gray box up here is the time of Ramadan, you'll see that searches for these complex meals, in fact, are sky high even before Ramadan begins. So you can imagine that mom has her game face on, both in the kitchen, but also in the grocery store, in the aisle, thinking, I've got to deliver on war anab, right? So she's finding out how it's served, how it's made, what shortcuts can be had, and anything that can be done to just make hosting at Super Bowl every night that much better. But the interesting thing is, when you look at these searches, that 2 weeks into the month, they take a dive. In fact, they go from being the most famous thing in Ramadan to the least thing spoken about in Ramadan. So we found that weird. What we did in comparison to that is we tracked simpler meals, so simpler dishes and easy cooking in general. And you'd realize that coincidentally, they in fact increase in those same 2 weeks when complex meals decrease in popularity. So we see that there's a relationship there first, and that's a great step forward in the conversation you can have with data, right? talking to it, understanding it, playing with it to better understand what it's telling you. So what we drew from this is that mom was looking for ease. And if we were to brief that to someone, I think that if you told them that we need to deliver ease to mom, they'd probably say, teach her how to make ramen noodles. But ramen noodles doesn't really fly at iftar, which is something that we understood when we took a step back and asked ourselves, what would an Indian auntie do? Because our instinct in our background reminds us about mom's cultural struggle. Because on the one hand, she's running the Super Bowl every night. She's in high hosting mode. At this point, she's fasting herself. She's exhausted. She's also looking to get a closer relationship to God. That's the one side of her life. The second side of her life, in fact, is about the fact that she needs to be inspiring and innovating every day. She needs to be hosting more people than she's comfortable with. And she's also got to make sure that it never shows that it's become difficult. So in that balance, it might seem easy to say, let's teach her how to make easy stuff. But in fact, the solution might be, let's teach her to make the stuff she wants to make easier. So this is a case that we worked with Kiri that did just that.
Recipes during Ramadan, let's be honest, everyone does them. They come in all forms. They're elaborate, they're prescriptive, and often ignored. The reality of the matter is, these recipes assume mom's life looks like this. She's calm, time-rich. Her life is effortless, and preparing a Ramadan meal is a walk in the park. But our research revealed that mom's life actually looks like this. Pressed for time and spends most of it in the kitchen. Has to prepare a variety of dishes, please a larger amount of guests, and on top of that, impress them with her decorative skills. Every day for 30 whole days. It's no wonder that our research also revealed moms aren't just searching for recipes, but recipes that simplify their lives. Our idea? Simplify the chaos of Ramadan. We developed recipes and content to eliminate cooking frustration. 30 popular recipes were recreated with Kiri. 600-word complex recipes were simplified into a few visual steps. And short videos made it easier to learn how. The content was organized in a Facebook app. In seconds, she could easily find recipes by meal type, popularity based on community votes, and preparation time. We made it easy to share and easy to shop. Ingredients from multiple recipes could be planned into one list. In case of a missing ingredient, we suggested a substitute in the kitchen cabinet. What was once a heavy cookbook became portable. Mobile optimization helped her carry inspiration around the kitchen and access it in the supermarket. We promoted the app through TV tags and sponsored ads on Facebook. Our content was also integrated on popular cooking websites that led to our app. And to highlight the simplicity in real time, our recipes became branded content on a morning TV show. And in-store, impact leaflets helped moms carry Kiri's simplicity back home.
So, as you can see, it's not about ramen, but it's about Ashta dessert in 3 easy steps. So if you want to be mom's sidekick, you have to find her solutions that allow her to keep her superwoman cape on, but by alleviating the stress that's happened in this 30-day grind, knowing that she has a big finale at Eid. Again, in translating that to my friends, I guess Eid is the World Cup, but all I'm trying to say is that it's a big deal. So these were just a few examples to show you that why I'd argue that in a world obsessed with data, we need to reprogram and bring the human data balance back. Because data is going to do nothing but grow. Every year between now and 2020, it's in fact going to grow 50 times, year on year. Today, brands only use 12% of the data available to them. So they're already drowning in reports. If we can bring intuition back into the equation, this will allow us to have quicker results, quicker action, and some rules of thumbs that we can work with. Because let's not forget, Although behavioral economics does say that you can't always rely on people and we do nonsensical things, the people in this crowd have developed the expertise of the industry, changing human behavior through creativity. They do have the understanding of their target market. And if you think about the work of Malcolm Gladwell in Blink, he speaks very clearly about the value of intuition as a collection of all the data that you've brought, all the information, all the data, all the experience that you've brought all together that inform your decision. So when you're listening to your gut, it's not just what you feel, it's what you know. So combining that with data makes it extremely powerful. So the model that I'd like planners to push, creatives to use, and clients to bet on is not the linear challenge data decision. It's to take a step back once you've done that and ask yourself, what would an Indian auntie do? And move to a model that takes the challenge and the data and challenges the data. So when you get a challenge, work with a hypothesis and your intuition in balance with data to then drive towards a decision. Because yes, data is factual, but it's not as deep as fact. Data is factual, but truth is much deeper than fact. Facts need context, because if you look at us as humans and truth, that's complex. Data can be complicated, but never complex. It doesn't tell the whole story. So get these three main players in play. Get the power of the ad man, get the intuition of an auntie, and the strength of data to lead you towards that. So for all of you here today in the room, know that you have the expertise as well as the understanding. Please, trust your intuition the way my auntie does when she's out matchmaking me, as you saw. It's much more magical than you'd think. I've got the data to prove it. Thank you.